What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? Your buddy Big Johnny G from Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming is back again, my friends. How is everyone doing out there? So, as you've probably already seen, you know what's coming up. I have a how-to play for Osprey's game that me and the 20-Sided Warriors have really been digging, and I wanted to do a how-to play of it before I do the full review. You may have already seen the 20-Sided Shots, which is our first impression of a game. I already had that up, and that game in question is The Lost Expedition. So I got things set up, so why don't we take a quick look at all of that, and I'll let everyone see how the game is played. So once again, everyone, don't forget we are checking out The Lost Expedition. All right, nerds, welcome back. So now for the setup of the game, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick 3 explorers. Now the game comes with an extra 3 for a total of 6, but each game is only going to be using 3 of the 6 explorers. Now you can pick any of the 3 you want as long as you have 1 expert in each of the 3 fields, which are the camping. As you see there, that is the jungle. And over here is the navigation expert. Sorry for the shadow. All right, so you're going to pick this. Now, I have this set up for an easy 3-player game. I suggest if this is your first game, that you should definitely play the easy to get an idea of it. So for this example, we're going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to take out card number 7 and 8. And then card number 9, which is the Lost City of Z, El Dorado. When you reach this card, the moment you reach this card, the game is over and you have won. Now this is a cooperative game, so no matter how many players there are, this handles the 5, I think it is. Yeah, 5. There's still only going to be 3 explorers. The players are going to be combining their skills, their efforts, their thoughts, and the cards that they get drawn in order to get these 3, or at least just one of them, to the Lost City of El Dorado. All right, now, so for this game being set up as an easy mode, the team is going to have access to 4 food items and 3 ammunition. Each explorer will have 4 for health. The expedition leader token will go to the first player in each round. That will go clockwise to the next player sitting down. And we have the morning and evening, and those are the 2 halves of each round. There's the meeple that you're going to be advancing throughout the board. And this game is also good to use as a, not a cooperative, it is a cooperative, but you can play head-to-head, and they supply a second meeple for that. But we're not going to be going over the head-to-head rules on this one. This is going to be the standard game rules. I always like it when a company gives a player aid card, or as I like to call them, the cheat cards, and this is double-sided, and there's 2 cards. I like that too, so this way you don't have to keep flipping the card back and forth. So that's very cool. We'll get to all this information in a moment. We're just handling things one thing at a time. So when you do this, you have the board all set up. Now, these are numerical. The back of these cards do have the numbers. As you see here, I took 7 and 8 out, so it's easy to set up. Then you're going to shuffle this deck. You're going to shuffle the deck, and you're going to hand each of the 3 players 4 random cards off the top. Those are going to be dealt to each of the players in the game. I have this set up to show you a 3-player game. All right, now let's take a look at the steps after setup and how you actually play. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here after the setup is I want to explain to you exactly what these adventure cards are. Here are 3 examples of the adventure cards right here. And I have these 3 out for a very specific reason, to show off these right here at the top, these narration captions that they have up at the top. This is the challenges. These are the things that you're going to be facing as you're exploring the Amazon trying to find the lost city of Z. And as you can see, other than the title of the cards, the game uses symbols. So it's open up to a lot more people than just people that may be able to read, and in this case, English. So you have 3 types of caption cards here. You see the first one I have set up. This is the yellow caption. It's known as events. Events are always dealt with first, and you must deal with all of the symbols in the order they are presented from left to right. Now, the next type of caption box we have are the red ones. If you notice, they have a jagged edge on the end of them. And yeah, all the colors are kind of washed out. That's thematically done. I totally understand that. So now these red choices, that they must be overcome a single red box. So what that means is there's 2 right here. There's 2 boxes. You have a choice. You can either fulfill the first top narration box, or you can ignore that and just do the second. But either way, one of them has to be done. Now, the third type you see here with the curling end, the blue one, that's an option. You may ignore any of them or do any of them. So it's your choice completely. This is your choice partially, because you have to pick one. And this is a must do. And this is the order you do them, because there are some cards that you're going to find that have multiple colors on them. And when that's the case, remember you're always going to be doing the yellow events followed by the red choices and the blue options is the order that they're going to be chosen in when you do have the multiple choices. Now, you see the symbols that I pointed out on here, and you'll also find them here on the player aid. So they break down to 2 different types, resources and expertise. The resources you see there are the food, the ammunition, and the health, while the expertise, remember the expertise was you had to have 1 of each, right, for the explorers? So this is it. The jungle, the navigation, and the camping. And as you can see, if it is colored in, that means you gain. And if it is washed out, if it is white, if it is erased from the inside, then that is spent. So we'll go over that in a moment, exactly how you spend and gain. But those are the adventure cards. Now, the other symbols that you are going to be finding on the adventure cards can be found here. These are cards that manipulate the path. And these are the cards, the adventure cards create the path. You'll see that in a moment. But these are the symbols that have effects other than resources or expertise. So you see right here that if you get that top symbol, skip. Now this is something you must do. In fact, everything here, with the exception of the second one, swap, which is optional, you must do. And again, you must do them in the order from left to right that they appear on the narration scroll, the narration cap there. So yeah, the swapping. Now this one we missed the first time. Well, not the entire first game, but the first time we encountered it, because there can be any 2 cards in the path, as long as they are cards that are above where you've already finished. So you can't swap cards that are behind the current card you're trying to overcome, but from any card forward, you can swap their places, but you don't have to. As I said, that's the only one out of these that is actually optional. Now, the second 2, the remove and the add, are fairly self-explanatory, that you will either be taking the very last card off the path and discarding it, or you will be drawing a new card off at the top of the deck, and you will then be adding it to the end of the path that has been created for the morning or for the evening, depending on which phase that you are in. And the last 2 are 2 of the most important, you could say. You have the advance. Now, when that happens, the advance happens right away. So regardless of anything else in any order, you will immediately advance to the next area. And if that obviously happens, let's say while you're near the end, and there's a bunch of other things like maybe you're going to take damage that you don't have and everyone will die off. It doesn't matter. If you have that advance and you're here, the very first thing that happens is you advance. And if that is there at the end of the path, that means you're going to win the game regardless of you not having enough health, let's say, or food to survive the rest of the adventure card. So that's what the advance means. And in case you're wondering, yes, death means exactly what you think it means. Dun, dun, dun. One of the explorers will have to be removed, regardless of how many health they still have. That's it. Dead is dead. All right, so that was the path. Why don't we take a look at exactly how the expedition is run? All right, so let's use the cards from the previous example since they're already out. During the morning phase, what's going to happen is each player, starting with the expedition leader, is going to place a card. Now you're gonna place one of the 4 cards from your hand that you've been dealt with, but you're gonna place it down on the board. If you really want to make the game tough, place them face down. You'll understand why. No, but you place the cards down. Now, one moment here. One moment, my friends. I do have to admit that even though, I want to tell you up front that even though this is a cooperative game, this is sort of a silent game. The players are encouraged not to discuss the cards in their hand with the other players. And it works out that way. The very first game we played, in order to learn the game, we played with our cards facing up so everyone saw what everyone else had. And let me tell you, that was still tough. And we were able to plan things out much more effectively and efficiently. But yes, the normal game is that you're not going to let the other players know what cards you have. Although you can talk about strategy a little bit, as long as you're not talking about the exact cards in your hand. So anyway, getting back to the beginning of the day phase, each player is going to play 1 card. And when each player has played one, each player will then play a second card. Now, these cards will be placed out in the numeric order that you see. That's for the morning. They will be placed in this order, and this is the adventure path that you're going to have to deal with for that morning. And as I was explaining, so each time when you get up to the first card here, which let's say, as you see here, the clearing, at the clearing, you see that this is just blue, which means that you have an option to do it or not do it, or you could do both of them. So you could spend a camping expertise to gain 2 food, or you can spend a camping to gain in health. Now, how do you spend the camping? Well, the way you spend the camping is you go to the camping expert, in this case it's Bessie, and you will remove one of her healths for each scroll caption that she's going to do concerning camping. In this case, they really want to get their hands on some food, and so they're going to take the first option. It's still early in the game, and to spend a health to bring her down to 2, just to get a health, which you'd probably end up giving back to her anyway because you can't go above 4 in the game, is kind of pointless. So now this card is going to be discarded. So you're going to make a little discard pile off to the side, and you're going to check out the next card. So as you see, this is the red card, the choices with the jagged edges. So I have to do one of them. We as the group, the 3 players, we have to do one of these things. Either lose 2 health in order to skip the next card, but we're also going to advance, or we can lose a food and gain a navigation. Okay, so if this was a real game I was running, I would obviously take the first one. I would lose 2, probably 1 from Roy and 1 from Isabella, our other 2 experts, so everyone's down to an even 3. I would skip the rapids, and then, well, the first thing I would do actually is do the advance. That's always first. But you get the idea. That's what I would be doing there. And that's how the game is played for the day round. Now, for the evening round, after the day is complete, and you only advance, by the way, when the advance symbol comes up. You do not advance simply because a day and night has passed. Now, during the night phase is going to be played out. Each player is going to be playing one at a time the rest of the cards in their hands. And I got them right over here. And they play the second and last one since they were only dealt 4. There we go. So this is how the night plays out. There's only really 2 differences between the morning and the evening phase. And the first one is that the cards remain in the order that they were played in. You don't change them because of the numerical system. Now, this means that it's a little bit more haphazard and a little bit less in control, I guess. And the other one is that, that was it. So they play all the remaining cards. That's the one difference. Instead of just playing 2, if for whatever reason you have more than 2 left in your hand for the evening, you will be playing them all, but one at a time for each player until they're all placed out. And the other difference is they stay in the off numerical order that they are in. However they come out is the order that they're going to be played in. And then the cards are resolved the same way for the evening. Same thing, if you need to spend an expertise, you take a health. Now, maybe the person that you want to spend the expertise for is already down to 1 and you don't want them to die. You don't have to spend the expertise from the expert. If Bessie only had 1 left and they needed a camping expert, in this case, either Roy or Isabel would be able to do that, but it's going to cost them double. It's going to cost them 2 health in order to do that instead of the 1, because they're not the real experts. But otherwise, the game is played out. Everything else is the same. You're going to be spending health for your experts to do your expertise. And, let's say you needed the food. What you do is, this is the food. So what you're going to do, if you took this card, is you're going to take a food, and you're going to add it to the pile. But the cards that have expertises on them, like let's say this card here dealing with one of the native tribes, you see this is a gain camping. So if that's the option that you do, if you spend a food to gain camping, then this card is going to be kept to the side of the explorers. And the reason you're doing that is because if something comes up and you need to spend a camping, instead of taking from the health of the expert, you simply discard the card that you took. And that's the purpose for them. And that's the best way to keep the guys, your team alive of explorers. Bullets, just gotta give you a warning, bullets are extremely rare to find in the jungle, so try not to use them unless you need to, and hoard them as much as you can. They really do come in handy, as you can imagine, with gaining food, though. Anyway, so that is the evening phase of the game, and we're getting around to winding things down here. So let's talk about how the round ends, and then we'll talk about the game. So, yes, after the morning phase, when you get ready for evening, you're going to switch it. Forgot to mention that. And you're going to spend 1 food for the day going into evening. And that's going to happen again at the end of the evening phase. When it is morning, the first leader token is going to be passed to the next player. And the team is going to lose another food for the morning. Now, after the evening changes to morning and you lose the food, the round ends. Now, at the round's end, you are going to be drawing 4 more cards off of the deck for each player. Unless, of course, your explorers have made it to the end and the game is over. Otherwise, you'll be drawing 4 more cards. Now, if it's a 2-player game, you're going to be drawing 6 cards, actually. But we are talking about a 3-player game here. Now, if the adventure deck runs out during the course of the game, then you're going to take the discard pile, as you expect, I'm going to say, and you're going to reshuffle it, and you're going to make a new pile. But you're also going to lose a food for that. If the deck runs out a second time, and that has not happened in one of our games yet, though it did come close. But if it runs out a second time, that's it. Game over. You lose. That is one of the lose conditions. Now, as far as the end of the game goes, there are 3 end game scenarios for the Lost Expedition. 1, the moment the meeple gets to the final card representing the Lost City of Z. Whee! Another way is if all 3 explorers die. Game is over, and the players lose. And as I just mentioned, the adventure deck runs out 2 times. 2 times. Then you lose, and the game is over. Whoa! All right, so nerds and nerdettes and we little nerdlings all, that's how the game is played. That is how you play Osprey's The Lost Expedition. So there's already been a 20-sided shots. If you didn't see that video, go check it out. 20-sided shots is our first impressions of the game. And there will be an upcoming full product review for this title. Hopefully it will be up maybe even by the end of this week or tomorrow. See how time works out. So that's it. I'm your buddy, Big Johnny G, for Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming. And my friends, I am out of here. Woo!